Welcome back to Ill Blur Matty. What is going on today, guys? I am back with another episode review of what episode? Moon Knight episode 3, The Friendly Type. So this episode starts off pretty much with Layla. We're introduced to Layla. Layla is trying to get back to Egypt pretty much because Mark is in trouble. Like, of course, it's her husband. And literally, we see Layla getting her passport made by who? Her mother. Her mother is the one that's making her passport so she can return to help Mark out. In this episode, we also see that Layla's got issues too. You know what I'm saying? She's got some issues that she's kind of pretty much not really spoken about, maybe to Mark in a sense, like losing her actual father. And her mother talks about that, but then also she talks about maybe her going after Mark. Do you really want to go after him after we all know that Layla's really trying to divorce Mark, pretty much. And we see the passport getting made. So next in this actual episode, we see pretty much Mark. We see him chasing down people that are connected to Arthur, pretty much. And these are people that are loyal to Arthur. They're like Arthur's like cult following. Also, I forgot to mention in this episode, we see Arthur actually reaching Egypt to try to find Amulet's tomb, with his followers. And pretty much one of the followers mentions like, hey, Mark Spector's here. He's, doing all this crazy nonsense to try to figure out where we're at. Because he has the actual scarab now due to pretty much getting it from the old man in the previous episode. So what I liked about Mark chasing down pretty much Arthur's cult people that are following Arthur, pretty much the fighting choreography was spot on. Like, this reminded me of like freaking Indiana Jones to some degree. I was like, yo, I love that they really like the fighting choreographer reminded me of something that you see in the Indiana Jones movie, which was totally fine because it seemed like it drew from that. And I love how Mark went hunting them down, and like literally pretty much in this episode we see literally that what's the name takes a backseat, Steve and his other personality. And that's very interesting. I like that they didn't like give us like a full episode of Steven. I guess that worked out. So seems like Mark was the one, you know what I'm saying, taking over the body for the time being. Also in this episode, we see that pretty much Kanju pretty much tells the reason why he can't really talk to the other gods and goddesses. But we see that there is a meeting. There's a meeting amongst the gods and goddesses. Arthur is there, the goddess of music. And pretty much we see them kind of speak their words about Kanju. Pretty much they feel like Kanju did not stay true to what they were doing. They were like, look, we're not supposed to intervene in mankind. You kind of like intervening, doing this stuff. Also, I love that they bring Arthur to the forefront because he is the previous avatar of Moon Knight. He is actually there. And he's kind of speaking his truth. He like, yo, bro, my man's got multiple personalities. One day you don't know if he's this person. One day you don't know if he's that person. And then the next day he's a whole completely different person. This man has multiple personalities. And we don't know who we talking to pretty much. So I like that Arthur kind of like stood his ground when they had this like pretty much this meeting. We also see that pretty much Kanju's like out for blood. Kanju like, bruh, you disrespected my name. Not up in here when we talking to the gods and goddesses of the Egyptian, Kemet religion. We not doing all that, bruh. So the gods were, and the goddesses were like, yo, you're not killing nobody up in here. We are not killing nobody up in here. And we see pretty much them not trusting Kanju because Kanju's pretty reckless, okay? We see that. Also, in this episode, I feel like we saw a little bit of Mark's third personality. pretty much the other one, Jake. I think Jake is the one that's the most violent out of all his personalities. I'm like, yo, I think when I saw some of the scenes, I'm like, okay, this is Mark, this is Jake. Because Mark is like, okay, semi-violent. Jake is like, yo, there ain't no other way to this. Also, I like with this episode that we see him like talking to Steven. So even though Mark is the one in control of the body, and sometimes Jake is, we see him and Steven having conversations with one another. Steven like, yo, man, you don't want to do that. You know, so I like that aspect of it as well. The next thing I want to talk about is Layla. So Layla has this old acquaintance, pretty much with someone that she knew. He's like this guy that collects like Egyptian artifacts, which was very interesting. We see them go there and Layla pretty much handling, you know, the fighting and stuff. Also, pretty much, Mark, you know, literally kicking butt. He's becoming Moon Knight. Sometimes he's Mr. Knight. I like the transition because with Mr. Knight, he's a little bit more polite, professional with it. Moon Knight, he's kicking butt. Okay, I love the scene where they're shooting at him and the bullets are bouncing off him and then bounce back on him. I'm like, yo, this is superhero-ish right here. So I did like that aspect of it. We see that Layla's old acquaintance didn't fully trust Mark. And we see them square off. I thought that was really cool, you know, saving the damsel in distress. Kind of like I said, had an Indiana Jones feel to it. Like I was like, this was definitely influenced by Indiana Jones, okay? So eventually Mark gets the other piece of information to find Aminet's tomb that pretty much involved needing Steven. So even though Mark was so resistant or rebellious for not wanting to use Steven, like, yo, you need me, you know what I'm saying? And we see Layla understanding the personalities as well. She can kind of see, I guess, a little bit more who's who now. I guess after being with him for a while now, I guess you can catch on to the personalities. I like the very end of this episode. Seems like Kanju knew that he did the wrong thing. He pretty much, once they found the constellation to her tomb, pretty much to this goddess tomb, Kanju pretty much got in trouble again. Now he is turned to stone, and pretty much we see Arthur kind of speaking to Kanju and saying, yo, I'm gonna finish off where you left off. Literally, he said that. I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, this is not good. Because we all know Arthur is like judge and executioner with the actual scale. I gotta say, I really like this episode. I'm glad we saw Jake in this episode. You know what I'm saying? So the third personality is probably the most violent. I thought Mark was the most violent. I was wrong. The fighting choreography was really good. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this was really good. It looked believable. It looked like something that, you know, you see, and like I said, an Indiana Jones type of film. I like that we see Mark and Steven kind of coming together, even though they don't necessarily agree with one another. I like the transition when he became Mr. Moon Knight and then Moon Knight. And like I said, I think this show is definitely, it's still like I said, I'm still enjoying it. I haven't had anything bad to say about it. I really like this episode. But have you guys seen Moon Knight on the Disney Plus app? You tell me in the comments. That's your boy L Blur. Ready, guys? Thanks for supporting. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for liking. And until next time, have a great one, guys. I'm out.